stops with the guy in charge. He's the one who's paid the money. He's the one running the country. He's the one who made the decision to put Mandelson there. Everyone else just said, we advise you to or not. Starmer made the decision. He has to take the rap.
It's
There's
revisionism
no
to say...
it.
But
Your
column didn't say that Epstein's friendship prohibited it. GB News didn't say
I'm
it.
sorry.
The Tory leader didn't say it.
The entirety of the media said that Mandelson should not have been appointed.
They did not say that the friendship with Epstein was prohibitive.
Yes,
That's
they
just
did.
A complete rewriting of history.
You're rewriting history now.
Kemi Badenoch never mentioned it once. Not once.
And that's it. 3 words that should end a career. Yes, it did. The vetting flagged Epstein. The warning was there. The risk was known. And he still made the appointment. That's not spin. That's not media hype. That's a conscious decision made at the very top of government. And once you know that, everything else you're about to hear, every excuse, every defence, every cabinet minister scrambling to protect him, it all sounds hollow. Because this isn't pressure politics. This is judgment failure. If you want politics called out straight with no sugarcoating, like the video and subscribe, because what follows is Labour trying to survive the unsellable.
Absolutely goes off the Richter scale. As about 15 minutes ago, the Scottish Labour leader Anna Sarwar calls for the resignation of Sir Keir Starmer.
But why? Why was he in this mess? It's because he appointed the friend of the world's most notorious paedophile to the position of US ambassador. And he's confirmed on record that he knew Mandelson was still friends with Epstein when he appointed him.
Can the Prime Minister tell us, did the official security vetting he received mention Mandelson's ongoing relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein?
So clear.
Yes, it did.
And now whether or not Labour cabinet ministers and MPs think giving a job to the friend of a sadistic, depraved paedophile is a bad thing, and whether or not they're willing to keep supporting the bloke who did that. And today, every single Labour cabinet minister decided they would support him. Every single one of them. Even Angela Rayner backed him. Look at all these tweets here. It's almost like they had a gun held to their head and they were told to do it, isn't it? New Deputy Leader Lucy Powell did an interview praising Starmer, boasting about how great he is under pressure.
What people should understand about Keir is that he withstands pressure really well. In fact, he sort of thrives off pressure, and he wants people to understand that he is so sorry about what happened with to the victims. It was a mistake, and he's said that and he's apologised for it, but he also wants to show people that he gets it and he understands the changes that need to follow from that, and so that people see that we understand it.
Oh, he's great under pressure. He loves pressure. He's like a diamond. What makes diamonds? Pressure makes diamonds. That's our Keir, isn't it? Right. Well, why is he under pressure, Lucy? Because he appointed the friend of the world's most notorious, horrific paedophile to the role of US ambassador. I mean, no Labour cabinet minister can ever claim to care about the safety of women and girls again. They can't claim to care about child abuse ever again. But I mean, we kind of know how they feel about it, don't we? Lucy Powell was eventually forced to apologise for this.
Channel 4 about rape gangs over this.
We want to blow that little trumpet now, do we? Yeah, okay.
There was a real issue.
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we? Yeah.
Here's Keir Starmer on the rape gangs.
And when politicians, and I mean politicians, who sat in government for many years, are casual about honesty, decency, truth and the rule of law, calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right.
There you go. Rape gang survivors have accused Jess Phillips of calling them liars.
Allegations of intentional delay, lack of interest or widening of the inquiry's scope and dilution are false. The inquiry will remain laser focused.
Wow. The Labour Party has been accused of covering it up for years. Many of the 55 towns and cities with rape gangs were Labour areas. So it's no surprise that not a single Labour cabinet minister thinks appointing a paedophile's mate to the role of US ambassador is a resigning issue. They're happy to let Starmer limp on, and they're doing it, in my view, just to keep their jobs, just to keep their ministerial salaries. probably to keep their MPs' salaries and expenses, because they know they'd possibly lose their seats if there was a...
And this is the part nobody in Westminster wants to admit out loud, because this stopped being about one appointment a long time ago. This is about culture, about a political class that protects itself first and the public second. Every single one of those cabinet ministers knows how toxic this looks. They know what it says to victims, they know what it says to parents, they know what it says to ordinary people watching at home. And still nobody moves, nobody resigns, nobody draws a line. Why? Because power is addictive. Ministerial salaries, positions, status, cars, titles. They're not defending Starmer because they believe in him. They're defending him because it's safer. Because if he falls, the whole structure shakes and suddenly their jobs are at risk too. So they clap, they tweet support. They talk about pressure and mistakes like this is some minor PR blunder instead of a catastrophic judgment call. That's not leadership. That's survival instinct. And the public can smell it a mile away. That's why trust in politics keeps collapsing, because when something serious actually happens, the system doesn't clean itself, it closes ranks. Protect the boss, protect the party. Hope the outrage fades. That's what you're watching. Not strength, not unity. Fear.
Former UK party member, former Tory party chairman, Sir Jake Berry, and journalist Benjamin Butterworth. Yeah, Carol, I mean, you know, clearly, as far as Labour cabinet ministers are concerned, appointing the mate of the world's worst paedophile to a role as US ambassador is not worth resigning over.
Yeah, but, you know, I keep on reading that Starmer is a man who is a decent man who oozes integrity. This man doesn't have a scrap of integrity. If he did, he wouldn't have thrown his friend, Morgan McSweeney, who helped him get the Labour leadership, who helped him get into power to be Prime Minister. He would not have thrown him under the bus. If he had a shred of integrity, not willingly, because some of the members of the cabinet are ready to take his job. You know, you've got you've got what's his name, Miliband, who wants to take his job. You've got Angela Rayner, who apparently has got £1 million war chest in order to take his job. And yet suddenly we're supposed to believe today that they are backing him and that he's a man of integrity and he's a man who does well under pressure. Did anyone see him at the dispatch box last week? He buckled under pressure under skewering from Kemi Badenoch. He buckled.
Well, I mean, they can't claim to care about women and girls and sex abuse victims now, can they?
Well, let's not forget one of the key things in their manifesto was to halve violence against women and girls, which actually is something all of us should support. And what will have happened today is the Cabinet was sent an order by the Chief Whip, by the Chief of Staff, whoever it was, rally round the Prime Minister. And the only reason they've done it isn't because they think he's got what it takes to be Prime Minister. It isn't because they think he's a good leader. You can look at Wes Streeting's messages. To Mandelson is one of his best pals. He's repeatedly saying the Prime Minister's awful. They've done it because they want to be Prime Minister and the time isn't right for them. It's nothing to do with the good of the country. It's nothing to do with halving violence against young women and girls. It's nothing to do with growing the economy. It is a Labour Party psychodrama that is taken over government.
Gave him a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Oh, they stood up and clapped him. They clapped him. Oh, he's great under pressure. Well, the pressure is because he appointed the friend of the world's worst paedophile to the position of US ambassador. I mean, how can these Labour MPs and these cabinet ministers support that?
Well, first of all, I think the bit that Keir Starmer and those around him can't say is that the reason Peter Mandelson was put forward for that job was because the logic was to put a snake in a snake pit, which is what Trump's White House is. And so there was an argument for it. And if you go back to when he was actually appointed, there is so much revisionism of people's claims because everybody at the time, almost everybody at the time, felt that Peter Mandelson was probably not a bad idea for that job.
David Lammy's come out and said he didn't think that. Angela Rayner's come out and said she didn't think that.
The media reaction and the political reaction, including both Reform and the Conservative Party, was not to say that what we know is that Mandelson is a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, because that was already well in the public domain. It had been widely reported by the FT, including a little trip away they'd had shopping. That was all in the public domain. And yet nobody was saying at the time that they thought that prohibited it. And so I don't say that as a defence of the situation, but what I say that for is that it shows just how widely in media and in Westminster people didn't have a problem with that.
So now we know what we know, and even if people knew it at the time, didn't say anything, or all of that stuff, do you honestly think that this Labour government, any of the cabinet ministers, can claim to care about child abuse now, having not resigned over this issue?
Yes, of course. Because first of all, Keir Starmer was the person that sacked Peter Mandelson. But secondly, to take.
Sorry, he didn't really sack him. He got full payoff, didn't he?
Yes.
He didn't get a full payoff. He would
got
have got
50 thousand pounds.
He got 3 months will be the absolute minimum that your contract could give you. So that's not a big payoff. That's what you'd be required in any role.
Not for gross misconduct.
And also, they've already brought... Well, he wouldn't have been sacked for gross misconduct because there wasn't a disciplinary hearing, was there? That's the nature of politics overlapping with an actual contract. But I think they've pulled that into review. They announced it on Saturday, so he might have to give that money back.
Another review.
But the fact is that to try and say that because... the idea that Keir Starmer should be the person who loses his job when so many, all of these men, all of these people who have been exposed have not faced any consequences.
Around the question of it,
And look at what this debate has turned into now. Not remorse, not accountability, not even basic embarrassment. They're arguing technicalities, payoffs, contracts, process, like this is some HR dispute instead of a moral disaster. That's how you know the system is rotten. Because when something this serious happens, the conversation shouldn't be about paperwork, it should be about responsibility. But Westminster doesn't think like normal people. They think survival first, always. How do we protect the leader? How do we protect the party? How do we protect ourselves and the public? You come last. That's the gap. That's why voters are furious. Because what looks unforgivable to you looks manageable to them.
The guy in charge. He's the one who's paid the money. He's the one running the country. He's the one who made the decision to put Mandelson there. Everyone else just said, we advise you to or not. Starmer made the decision. He has to take the rap.
It's
There's
revisionism
no excuse
to
for
say...
it.
But
it's not revisionism,
your
it's a
column
fact.
didn't say that Epstein's friendship prohibited it. GB News didn't say
I'm
it.
sorry.
The Tory leader didn't say it.
The entirety of the media said that Mandelson should not have been appointed.
They did not say that the friendship with Epstein was prohibitive.
Yes,
That's
they
just
did.
a complete rewriting of history.
You're rewriting history now because
Kemi
the
Badenoch
media
never
was...
mentioned it once. Not once.
I mean, obviously, Benjamin doesn't particularly want to answer the question about this, but going forward, I don't quite get how any member of that Labour cabinet can say that they care about anything to do with women and girls and sex assault and all of that stuff, because they will go down in history as the cohort of people who supported a Prime Minister who made that catastrophic decision. I mean, how on earth to look at themselves in the mirror?
I think the challenge he's got is... Interesting to see Lucy Bell. He's brilliant at dealing with pressure. He's brilliant at dealing with all of these crises that he creates. I mean, he is just a terrible Prime Minister. Leaving that one catastrophic decision aside, you could talk about winter fuel payments, you could talk about the farmers' tax, you could talk about the failure to create economic growth. The only reason they are not moving against this today, he came out and said this guy is completely incapable of either governing or leading the Labour Party. I've always liked an ass. I think he is a very honest politician.
Yeah, do you think so? Because the Labour are going to get slaughtered in Scotland come the elections, and that's not necessarily because of Starmer. That's because of the way he's running the Labour Party in Scotland.
Well, the Labour Party on power in Scotland, I think it is because of Starmer. He told the truth.
Oh, come on.
This is catastrophically bad. As soon as they can, they will move against him when it suits them. He is a dead man walking.
You've got to look at the reasons why he won't resign. This is the most obdurate, stubborn man that I have ever seen in government. He is hopeless at his job. He is loathed in this country, and yet still he clings to power like a wounded buffalo. He's stumbling around, wrecking this country as he goes. And he will not...
And that right there is the most insulting part. Because after everything you've just watched, the admissions, the excuses, the shouting matches, the career protection, they end with a scripted statement about justice for survivors, empty words, polished lines, damage control. This wasn't just an interview. This is a pattern. You saw it, you heard it, you felt the hesitation every time the pressure went up. Nobody takes responsibility. Nobody resigns. Nobody sacrifices power. They protect themselves and hope you forget. That's modern politics in one ugly snapshot. A Prime Minister warned about Epstein links. He signs it off anyway. The cabinet knows. They still clap, still defend, still fall in line. Not because it's right, because it's convenient. And that's why trust is gone. Because when something this serious happens, and the system still refuses to punish failure, what hope is there for anything smaller? Leadership means consequences. Instead, he clings to power and they shield him like it's a private club. So ask yourself, is this incompetence or cowardice? And would you trust people like this to run the country? If you want politics called straight, No spin, no protection racket. Like the video, subscribe and hit the bell.